get a proper therapist who understands what you're going through. What I would advise her is to look for the one who's selling and sell her stock.
Where you've left employment, you've started entrepreneurship, and now your friends are thinking, oh my God, you're so brave.
You understand? You are not a failure. You have failed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from, and welcome back to yet another episode of Unprepared to Entrepreneur, the channel that brings you real, raw, and often untold stories of entrepreneurship. And today, oh gosh, I don't know if you've watched the previous episode with Lucy Wanyika. If you haven't, please go and catch up, then come back for this second one. Because in the previous episode, we talked about what causes many businesses to fail. And I am so happy that Lucy is back again to have another session with us, because the previous one was it was triggering for me because we obviously talked about all the things that made all my other businesses that I've tried in the past fail. And it's almost like we were reliving the moment. But I hope that that conversation has inspired you to not only just, try out that idea you have. I hope you're now a little bit wiser, and you will not fall into some of those pitfalls. And now I welcome Lucy back again.
Hi,
Lucy.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so excited. I'm excited. I'm really happy that you're in my studio and we're having this very important conversation, because we were talking earlier and we're like, where do you go to learn these things? Apparently, it's just through try and error. You try, it doesn't work out, you try again. And sometimes you're so worn out by the time you're now figuring out the things that work. And obviously you don't learn all of them at once. You learn one and you're like, now I'm good. Find another, block. You learn that, now you're good. And by the time, you're getting to the point where now you figured it out, you've run out of time. You could literally get to your 60s. As a business owner, yes, unalipa bills, but that's it. Juu kila saa ukianguka, it requires money to get back up and try again.
Yeah.
And you can literally run out of time. No, you will run out of time if you don't learn these things. You will run out of money and you will run out of energy and you'll be so miserable. So I'm so glad that we are having these conversations. And I think I keep saying, in fact, at the beginning of this year, I started saying I'm creating this content for my younger self, things I wish I knew, and I'm bringing them on these platforms that you can also learn a thing or two that you can apply on your business, or in whatever situation that whatever season you're in, you can apply either one of the things that we are talking about and get yourself unstuck. We're not promising it's gonna be easy, but at least you'll know what to do, or at least what to apply. So I'm so happy we're having this conversation again with Lucy. Lucy,
yes.
If whoever is watching is meeting you for the first time,
yes,
please introduce yourself.
Okay.
And karibu sana.
Asante. My name is Lucy Wanyika, and I am a management and business consultant, and I run Janta Kenya and Janta Business Support. I think we are online, and we have been helping businesses not only thrive but survive the owners. So if you want a business that you can
Outlives you,
gift your child
you,
or gift your grandchild, there are certain things that you must put in place. And I think for the length of time I have been in business and have been interacting, I think what even inspired me to now go into business coaching is I've really interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs. And early on in the career, I had been working with corporates and large SMEs, so the medium and large enterprises, and have had the opportunity to sit with CEOs and find out what has been working for them and what hasn't.
And what hasn't.
So there's a lot of learning that I had gained just from hearing those experiences and now putting them together with the work that we do.
So you've been interacting like with many corporates on a very intimate level for you to get to understand like how things work and why they work.
And why they work.
And why they don't.
And those that don't.
And those that don't.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting, because that's our topic for today.
Yeah.
What are the signs that there is impending doom? Like basically what we're calling them red flags. What are the red flags that if you don't pivot, if you don't change the way you're doing your business, you will most definitely close? And if this video reaches you at the point when you are like just about to close or you have just closed, I say give yourself grace. We learn every day, and maybe try again now after this conversation, maybe a bit wiser. Right? Whew. Tell us, first sign that there is impending doom.
First sign is you're not able to pay your suppliers.
Wow.
So if you're not able to pay your suppliers on time within the agreed stipulated credit period, that is one of the red flags.
Yeah.
Because that means you're not liquid enough.
You're not liquid enough
to pay them.
Yeah.
So that usually is a sign of many things happening, but it's one sure sign that, okay, if I don't change now, I will close. And I know we have been talking about how we delay payments as much as possible. But you see, internally we know we have money in the bank.
Yes.
Because it improves our cash flow position. But if we don't have that money in the bank to pay
we
the supplier,
actually do not have.
We know it's going to be a problem.
I think this is especially true if you are running a retail or product-based business. Service, yes, there is impending doom, but you can quickly wiggle out of it.
Wiggle out of it. But then
if it's retail, if you're
selling goods.
If you're selling goods, basically.
If you cannot pay, and we're not just talking about the people who give you, say for example, if you're in production, who give you raw materials. But if you're not able to pay electricity, you're not able to pay water on time, you're not able to pay.
Yes.
That is the
so meaning you will not be able to run production.
Exactly.
Meaning you're not going to meet the demand.
Exactly.
You will start frustrating your customers because of delayed deliveries. And, you will find yourself.
But more importantly, if you frustrate the supplier and they withhold supply,
now
you will
things
struggle
are bad
with raw material.
Why will you struggle?
Because a lot of times when you're in production, you rely on credit terms. No, new suppliers are not likely to give you the credit terms you need.
Or you had.
Before
this problem.
Exactly. So most likely when you're looking for a new supplier because the other one refused to give you product, you most likely will go into pay them cash.
First.
Which now destroys, already you're struggling financially, but then it completely destroys your cash flow.
Yes. What are things someone can do not to find themselves in this situation?
I think the first thing it's telling you when you're not able to pay your suppliers, either you're not meeting your sales target. Number one is you're not actually selling as much as you should. Either you're producing too much and you're not able to meet your target, or you're just not meeting your sales target. Number two, you need to fix your credit terms. Because that means, one, either your clients are remaining too long with your money.
That's why you don't have money to pay
That's why you don't have money to pay your suppliers. Right?
Yes.
So either you find a way to, and for me, I usually say, I know it's hard and you're afraid to lose the client, and you're trying to make it as easy for them as possible to buy from you, but there's no point of giving someone goods for free. There's absolutely, it beats logic. Make sure before you give credit terms, you have assessed your potential client's ability to pay. So you can demand for books of accounts and or statements for you to give credit terms.
Hi, let's talk about credit. Let me tell you, if there's something that I'm very afraid of doing credit business in this country.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a culture of defaulting.
Yeah.
And you will find that customers literally jump from one supplier to the next because they plan to default.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time I'm coming and convincing you to give me goods on credit, my books of accounts could be great, or cooked, God forbid. My bank accounts are looking great, but I have no intention of paying you, within the timelines agreed. And I saw this again. Let's go back to the meat butchery business. I tried to sell meat to restaurants, and most of them were insisting on credit. But many people who supply restaurants have seen dust because they're just very poor payers, in as much as their books of accounts read.
And that's restaurants and schools. They're terrible at paying.
And schools, yeah.
But this is the thing. You have to take credit policies very seriously. Very, very serious. Like, it needs to be a very serious thing. Why? Because in some industries, it might be actually just that much harder to do cash.
True.
So if you do intend on doing cash, make sure you have the best product and the best in terms of customer service, delivery, after sales, etc. Then you can get away with cash.
Yes.
So, but if you really are not able to give cash terms, and you must do credit, yes, someone can cook their books, but it's very hard to cook statements.
Bank statements.
It's very hard to cook. So you must have your own accountant evaluate on your behalf the credit worthiness of this customer. Number 2, let them give you 3 guarantors or 3 references of businesses they work with who can give
put in
a testimonial.
Yes, a good word, yeah.
Or a good word for them that this guy's
you proceed, yes.
Before you proceed with credit terms.
Yeah.
If you're unable to do that, don't start that business.
So I feel like different levels of business require different tactics. So like when you're sort of like starting out, would you say you could also check within yourself and see how much credit risk your business can take?
You have to.
Because I mean, when you're young, when your business is young, one misstep like this, when it comes to credit, you wrap up.
You wrap up very quickly.
Very quickly.
So, and that's the thing. You have to check the ability, and in terms of even if a company is able to give 60. It's like today, the worst thing you could do as a business person starting out is to go deal with a supermarket.
90 days.
Because they pay in 90 days.
120.
When they're in a good mood, they will pay you in 120 days, sometimes never. They'll pay you at the end of the year. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as a small business, the worst thing you could do is actually start with large credit terms, because you're likely not able to do it. So, but if your industry requires it, because sometimes you're just not able to do it.
Yeah, sometimes.
So if your industry requires it, ensure that you actually negotiate. And how are you able to negotiate? Is by you have done your research. You've seen the gaps in the market. Okay? So for example, you're selling pork. And you're selling to restaurants. The number one complaint you'll hear, because I have interacted with restaurants,
Yes.
is the quality of the cut.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
So ensure you have the right equipment to properly cut the meat, so that it's properly cut, priced fairly, and ensure you have very good turnaround in terms of
You're reliable.
You understand? So if you're fixing a problem in the market,
Yes.
people will likely be more fair when it comes to payment
terms. That's
because
true.
you're delivering something above what they're getting.
Above what they're
But if
getting
you're
in the
just
market.
delivering the same
The same
level
as
of
everyone
service
else.
and whatever,
Yes.
no one will want to. So why should I work with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not being able to pay your suppliers on time.
Not being able to pay your suppliers.
That's number one.
So it will show that either you're struggling with liquidity. And not being able is not paying your suppliers on time. Those are two different things.
Yeah, you're not able.
You're just not able to pay.
Yeah, you're not just delaying, you're not able to pay.
Yeah. Another red flag is when you are struggling with your employees. And I'm not just talking about one employee. I'm talking about you and your employees are like on different sides of the table.
Explain
They're
that.
collectively, you feel like they're collectively against you. I know the employers who've had that. They're like, I want to fire everyone. If you've ever felt like, I want to fire everyone in my team and hire a new team,
How does that happen?
you're very likely to be on your way out.
You as the owner of the business.
You and the business are likely to be on
You
your
and
way
the
out.
business. You and the business. How does that happen though? How do you, all employees or most, how does that happen?
I have
like what are
had
the scenarios?
The number of clients who've come and told me, Lucy, I want you to fire everyone and hire a whole new team.
What are the scenarios? What's happening there?
So one,
or rather, how do you find yourself?
It's usually a challenge in productivity. From the employer's perspective, you feel like they're not productive. Okay? For example, you'll have a client telling you, Lucy, I'm bringing in 80% of the business here. So why do I need everybody else?
I see.
So either one, there's a problem in productivity, or two, it's a problem in your perception of productivity.
Your perception of productivity.
You understand?
I do.
So productivity means if you've given someone a target, they're not meeting it, and you're paying them a salary.
Yes.
That means this is happening with most of your staff.
Yes.
And that means that resource you have that you're paying for that is so expensive is not giving you back the revenue that it should be.
You're not getting the value out of that employee.
Exactly. So this is what I usually say. Today, if you're starting a business, you're the salesperson, you're the marketing person, you're the accountant, you're the operations, you're the service delivery, you're the after sales, etc. When you're paying yourself, your salary, you have to pay for an equivalent of all those people.
All those roles.
Why? Because the day you will need to hire out, in your projections, if you had not put that salary there, it cuts into your operating expenses.
Yes.
Isn't it? Because in your initial projection at the beginning of the year, you didn't budget for that role. And then you did not predict that because of that role, I will need to increase my sales to this level. You get what I'm saying? So when you're doing your operating expenses, even if you're one person, you must pay yourself for all those salaries.
For all those.
So that it doesn't affect.
I hear you.
You get what I'm saying?
I hear you. Yeah.
So
it's
now,
an expense in the business in as much as you are the one executing all the roles.
Thank you. Because, and what is likely to happen inevitably is if you're doing everything, you will burn out and you will have to hire.
You will burn out and you'll have to hire, yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So because you will have to hire, put it in the budget.
Plan for it.
Plan for it. Now, conversely, if your employees are tired of you or they're not working, if they exit rapidly and it was an essential role, finding someone who has there's a word for it. It's like the history of the business. You understand? There's a client of mine who panics every time he calls one of my staff and they don't pick. And they call me like, has Grace left you? I'm like,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
She's probably in a meeting.
Yeah.
Because there are clients who relate well with some of your employees.
Yeah.
So imagine if all of them were to exit at one point.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Because now there are roles which are essential for the running of your business.
Yes.
Cannot all be filled at the same time.
It's difficult.
It's difficult. And no one is going to give you an excuse of you're a new business.
Yeah.
You're just starting out.
You're
You
just
know, like
starting
the way a
out.
hotel starts and then they have this whole list of people they're hiring.
Yes.
When you go to a hotel and the service is poor, you say, they'll figure it out there. They are new. But when you go to a hotel and your service is bad,
You just won't go back.
you just won't go
It
back.
starts now affecting
Exactly.
your top line. Wow. I think we will pack that conversation because I feel like it requires like a whole episode on its own. Just how do you manage employees and employee satisfaction and motivation and onboarding and offboarding and all those. I feel like it's packed. The third one,
When your customers are complaining about you. Just this morning, I saw an email from one of my clients. I don't even remember why I was copied. It was an employee talking to her boss saying, oh, we've lost this customer. So I actually just went through the email and I was like, I was reading the conversation between the client and the client was saying, this whole transaction has been mismanaged. And cancelling the contract, we're cancelling everything. They don't want. That time they're cancelling. The order has already been delivered, so they're telling you, send your rider to collect your things.
they're unhappy.
They're unhappy. We all know bad news travels fast.
Yes.
Fast.
That's true.
It's harder to get your client to give you a recommendation than to get them to tell someone else, do not do business with these guys.
That's true. That's easy.
That's easy. The likelihood that your clients know each other,
High.
very high.
The town is this small.
This small, especially if you're in a particular industry.
Yes.
Say if you're a service provider in a particular industry, the risk of you shutting down is very, very high. True, obviously, if a client is not buying, that obviously affects revenue, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
So if they're complaining and you're not hearing them, in terms of service delivery, in terms of customer service, in terms of after sales, you're on your way out.
You're on your way out. That's true. I think on that note, I feel like customers are very lenient, at least in my experience. They will give you some sort of leeway to make amends, resolve the issue. By the time the customer is like, I am done, come collect your things, you've reached them here.
Yeah.
That's especially if you had like a good rapport with that particular, which is usually the case, otherwise they would not give you business, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel by the time you're getting to this point, things are really, really, really bad.
Yeah. And not to say that if you have one customer complaint, then you should take it seriously. But that is not reason to panic.
Yes.
But if you have several customers complaining about you,
Then over and over,
yeah,
probably about the same thing.
yes,
Now you have a problem.
now you have a problem.
Now you have a problem.
They say Jeff Bezos, he will sit at customer care regularly so that he hears what customers
What
are
customers are
about.
complaining about.
And that's why Amazon has grown so big.
Yeah.
Because the risk you have, especially in a business that has done well, say you've been doing well, you've been making sales, you've been doing well, then you become more and more removed from the business as the owner.
As the owner.
So you're not really interacting with the customers anymore. You're the kind who say, call my PA to handle it, or call my procurement manager, you're not part, you're never copied in, you're likely to close.
Because you have no idea when things are
You're
going
out
wrong.
of
You're
touch.
out of touch. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a loaded one because we spend so much money and effort to acquire
the
a customer.
Yeah.
And I feel like that cost of acquisition is so high. You need to respect your customers and actually serve them, give them value so that they keep coming, because retention, if you're not retaining, then it's costing you double to acquire.
Even triple.
Eventually, even triple for you now to acquire another new customers to come into your business. And even that one you won't be able to retain. So over time, you will have less and less people coming into your business, like as new customers, and more exiting. And eventually now that just, you spiral all the way to the bottom. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What's the next red flag?
Your business has had losses for the last 3 years.
Losses.
And I'm not talking about those large businesses that are funded by VCs and all that, and they're used to running on losses. And because they're also trying to be big enough so that they can attract bigger investors and etc.
And they can
I'm
sell.
talking about
blah,
you
blah,
who
blah,
opened
blah.
your biashara and it's been 3 years of losses. It's time for you to consider folding.
Let me tell you. Folding, closing a business, chest pains. Chest pains.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you could literally see you are struggling.
Yeah.
And probably you knew at like 6 months. I feel like 6 months to an year, you can tell this is not working. But because you've invested so much in that business, you're like, I must try. I have to try and make it work. My friend Sam calls it escalating commitment. You continue escalating the commitment to that business. Well, deep down, unajua hapa ni kubaya. As like how maybe therapy is truly needed for entrepreneurs. The more we have this conversation, the more I go back to maybe we need therapy.
Yeah.
But help an entrepreneur out a bit in this, like folding. You know, it's when you call it sounds so easy.
I have a friend who calls it running an expensive hobby.
Running an expensive hobby.
When you're doing your business, it's not making you any money. So you're constantly having, because when you're running a loss, you're going back to your pocket to pay for bills, to pay your employees, to pay etc. If for 3 years, truly, it's coming out of your pocket, 3 years is long enough for you to see this is a business that is worth it. Move. Just close.
Why do you think entrepreneurs struggle with closing so much?
Ego.
Unpack it for us.
Okay. Most people will struggle with, what will I tell my friends? Because you assume the business's failure is your failure. But sometimes the circumstances are out of your hand. If the government introduces a new regulation that stops you from importing, for example, a raw material, has nothing to do with you.
Yes. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Or if the economy is so bad that people are not spending on frivolous things and you sell luxury watches. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not your fault.
Yes.
You need to look back and say, okay, whether it's my fault or not, you can't continue digging on a hole and burying your head in the sand at the same time.
Yeah. It's going to catch up with you.
You need to get to a point where, first of all, you need a breather. Step out of it and you're like, okay, where did I go wrong? So that now when you're going back to the next one, you're wiser, you're more refreshed and rested. And then now you can go and do it again. You can even close this one business and reopen it. Nokia came back.
Yeah. Our society has, like, there's shame in failing.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate failure. And it's a bit sad because the people who are actually failing are those who dared to try.
Yeah.
And the ones who are, quote unquote, shaming them. And I'm not sure if there are people shaming you or you're just imagining. You're just imagining.
Imagine I have haters.
I'm not sure the shamers exist or they just exist, in our minds. Like, there are people, out there looking down upon me. I tried this thing and failed. But there's something. And I don't know if it's man-made or it actually exists, but there's some shame in folding. I can tell you for sure. My software business, when I started, I would say I had beginner's luck. I had beginner's luck, and I closed my first deal when I had such a basic operation. Like, no office, no nothing, just I know I know the service, I'm able to deliver the service, and have a team of consultants, and we're able to do the job. We get the job done, client is happy and everything, and now I'm like, that was easy. This is how people are making money. Hey! So I went quickly, set up an office. And who is the accountant? Process systems team. Hired a project manager. Dear Lord. Hired a sales manager because I didn't want to deal with the sales.
Yeah.
And we were to make money. Like, the setup now was ready. Yangu tu ni nikae niambie wewe fanya hivi tutengeneze hii pesa. Obviously that's not how things worked out. I struggled to sell. I did not make another sale for a year after that. And of course, ego had informed me that I needed to be in a fancy location just in case, customers come visit my office.
Yeah.
So I'm in a fancy location. Yes, my rent is up there. And I have salaries. And a girl who comes to make tea for the team. Yes. Because why are they making tea for themselves, I'm being a very good employer. I'm about to become employer of the year.
Let me add one up on you. Me, I used to even make lunch for my team. And someone cooking lunch for them in the office.
And basically, all the money I had made on that first sale, I had every intention of, this was my version of putting it back into the business so that then we can grow it, you know? But the ignorance, obviously no sale came through. I literally, Lucy, I'm not going to lie to you, I paid salaries, I paid rent, I paid office expenses, and I did not fold until I had nothing else left. So basically, I didn't even get to making that decision. The decision was made for me. I was not going to fold. And I'm looking at, okay, what will, I have friends who've come to my office
and they've seen how swanky it is.
Yes, they're like, I'm making it in their eyes. What will they think of me? First of all, no one is thinking of me. Now I know. Nobody cares. I closed that thing. Nobody cared at all. But it was so painful. I don't know why it was that painful. That first one, it was painful. And I had a bad, I couldn't even afford transport. So now, I had bought furniture and seats. And they had to all be dismantled. I didn't have storage, so I had to send them to my mom's house. I couldn't even afford proper transport. Wow. It was like a raggedy looking pickup. The one you're like, I hope nobody, like, usipatane na watu kwa stairs. Walikuwa nauliza, hii inaenda wapi? Hii inaenda wapi? And I can relate to that struggle.
Yeah.
But that's the last time I struggled to fold. Today, it's not an emotional decision. I don't need to feel bad about it. It's either, is it making sense? Is it not?
Yeah.
If it's not, I close. But that was so, it felt, I've gone through heartbreaks, but that one hurt me. It hurt me so much.
That's why I was telling you earlier, the kind of heartbreaks a business can give you, there's absolutely no man who can
break your heart.
Who
like
can
that.
break your heart like your business.
It was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I can't explain that feeling to anyone. And so I wonder, had I made this decision earlier, how would that have looked like?
So I think,
because I feel like that conversation will help someone
it's
in that
important
situation.
To seek support. So it's not just a thing when I say you need therapy.
You need therapy.
Because you need mental and emotional support. Because you're still human.
You're still human, yeah.
And we can't say, oh, you toughen up and then, no. We are working with human beings. So you need to find emotional and find a good therapist. Don't get these random ones who just got a certificate. They will destroy you. Get a proper therapist who understands what you're going through.
The journey you're on.
The journey you're on, and they have worked with people who are going through the same. So that they understand the kind of support you need.
Yeah.
So
You're
that
right.
first of all, you need to separate you from your ego. There's Anne, and then there's Anne's ego. Anne is not a failure. It's Anne's ego that has crashed. You understand? You are not a failure.
Yeah.
You have failed. There's a difference.
You are not a failure.
You have just
You
failed.
have just failed. That is so powerful.
You understand? So it doesn't mean that moving on in life, you will not succeed. Most people who are billionaires have failed.
Many times over.
Many times. And if you ask them, they'll tell you, if I lost everything today, I will rebuild it.
I will rebuild.
There's even a show that says something about millionaires being given, I think, $200. And they're thrown into a new town, and they're not given their phones. So they have no contacts. It's just you and your brain and $200.
They'll still become millionaires.
They still become millionaires. And they're given a month to make it. It's what you have in your head. The knowledge you have acquired, the experience you now have.
Yes.
That defines you.
Yes.
Not the business.
I see.
That's why the business is its own legal entity. It's the one that has collapsed, not you.
Not you. Yeah.
You understand?
Most people can't
separate.
Detach
Because I think especially, and I know this is now becoming more common for women, but this is more of a man's problem. Because men attach their self-worth to what they do.
What they have accomplished.
And what they have accomplished. But now because of where we are in society, even women are similarly struggling with that. And now detaching that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the problems you will have in your business will be ego related. I'll give you, and my client will hear this and he will know I'm talking about
a lot of the problems I will have in business will be
ego related. Yesterday I had a client, we were having a conversation about how to let go of an employee. And I was telling you, really must follow the law so that you don't incur legal fees. Because if you fire them directly, they will sue you and you will lose money. Not only the money you pay them, the money you pay your lawyer. You know what the guy told me? He's like, how much will it cost me?
The legal fees.
Yeah. That's what he told me. I was like, wow. I said, just to me, how much will it cost me? You say, how much will it cost me?
I'd rather go that route.
Will it cost me about $1 million or whatever? It's like, yeah. It's like, it's not worth my ego. My ego is worth more. I was like, wow. But then again, I said, okay, you go ahead. You lose the $1 million, it's fine. But what if it's a class action? Because your employees can sue you together.
Together, as a group. As a group.
As a group, you get. So anyway, that was just on the side. So if you're able to step back, And if you're going through, you're going through this right now, and you're in business, and it's not working. I always tell my clients, take a little money, just a little, go away. If you can't afford to go for a trip, panda matatu, go.
Yes.
Take a matatu and leave town.
Yes.
For 3 days.
For 3 days.
Go see your grandmother, go do something. Step away from it.
Unplug.
Unplug and see, is this making sense?
Yeah.
If it's not going to take you where your dreams are going, it's not the vehicle to sit in. Get off it and climb another vehicle that will take you to your dreams.
Yeah.
Instead of crying about the destination, get off the vehicle, go to another one.
Go to another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might look like something like, I need to get a job first so that I can survive for a while. Then I'll start another business.
Oh, let me tell you, that's another one that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
Where you've left employment, you've started entrepreneurship, and now your friends are thinking, oh my God, you're so brave, and you're doing it, they're admiring you. And so ego, again, your ego is inflated, it's like this big. And then now you have not only have to close the business, but close and go now and find a job. It's, I think therapy is important. In fact, the more we're having this conversation, the more I'm going to call my therapist after this. Because I can see areas in the past where I have let my ego lead. And now that I have this platform and I'm interacting with so many entrepreneurs, I can see ego in them. And I think the most classic example is many who know they should be on social media, but they are not, because sasa unataka nikue TikTok.
You want me to go and dance selling my products.
Right? That is like that's the one, when you said like a lot of the problems you will have are ego related. You have a business owner who is struggling with sales. They have social media. They consume social media. They know exactly, like basically, like I'll give you an example. I sat down with this lady, and she runs a wig business. And
I saw that interview.
I didn't know the interview now. The lady who was, she's killing it.
Yeah.
Now a different one.
Yeah.
Who was like, can I have a session with you? And we sat down. Basically, she knows everything. She knows exactly what she needs to do, but she just cannot get past her ego of put a phone in front of you and sell your product, advocate for your product. She can't get past that.
What I would advise her is to look for the one who's selling and sell her stock and go and look for another business.
Sorry, repeat that.
Look for the one who's selling on TikTok. Sell her stock to her. Close her business, go start another business.
Yeah. This one is not for her.
It's just not for her. If you can't get past it, there's no point of trying.
Right?
And I'm not saying all of us have to dance on TikTok. Our clients will be found in different ways. Our clients, most of the time, will find us.
There's no problem with dancing on TikTok if it brings you clients, honestly.
True. Yeah. But not all businesses will require you to dance on TikTok.
Not all businesses will require.
You could actually be required to talk on TikTok. You don't need to dance.
You don't need to dance.
Because if you're selling a serious product, you don't have to.
Her is just, she doesn't want to be in front of the camera
Then she's in the wrong business.
She's in the wrong business.
She didn't do her research early on to know that she will need to do it.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Next red flag. Because ego will keep coming back.
Your stock is not moving. If your stock is not moving.
Is that the same as you're not making sales? Or those could be different.
It's different. Let me say why it's different. Sales could not be happening because of one, either you're not selling well enough. Right? But there's a difference between you not being able to sell and you having product that is unsellable.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You understand? So either it is too dated, or it is damaged, or it is it's not what the market wants.
Yes.
You understand?
I do.
If you're selling clothes and it's in Chinese size and you're selling to Africans, you will not sell.
You will not sell. Yeah, yeah. Or if you're selling African print in some European country and your target market is, you know, jungus in that area, you probably might not sell.
You may not sell.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? If
So
you're trying
this
to
is like
sell,
wrong product fit.
it's a wrong product. It's either wrong product fit, or you took too long to
Dated.
sell and your product has been outdated.
Outdated. I hear you.
So for example, you sell computers and now you're still selling, what kind of computers right now are not selling?
It's a Dell.
Like you're trying to sell a Dell.
Dell is not selling. Paul.
But you know,
But I
I'm
get
saying
it,
it's
I get it.
outdated.
I get it.
And say for example, your cash is locked in that stock.
Red flag.
Red flag, and possibly you need to seriously consider closing. Unless you're liquid enough to buy or sell. Maybe you can find someone who will take parts, something like that.
And sell it.
But
in
you need to
parts.
make very quick decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this then means you need to check your. We used to have a name, inventory days, like how long you're staying with the product in your warehouse.
Yeah.
So that then this does not catch you unawares.
Yeah. So you need to check. Essentially, the report is called a stock movement.
Yeah. Stock movement report.
Yeah.
Yes. So that you're able to see the slow moving.
Yeah. And not buy them.
Not buy more of them,
Exactly.
but also trying to understand why they are slow moving and dispose of them very quickly before
And
then
that's
they
why
become
it's
a
important
problem.
not to make decisions for stocking on a whim. I'll tell you, majority, if not all, of the clients who've come to me and told me our stock that's not moving are the ones who are like, I need to restock. You ask them why. I cannot put stock this month. I'm like, do you need to buy stock?
Do you need
It's
to
like,
buy, or is
if
just
I don't buy stock,
it's a routine?
there's nothing to sell. I'm like, but your store is full.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Your store is full. What do you mean you need to buy stock?
yeah. Because
Then you end up, because they're not observing the stock movement. They have either a lot of dead stock that's not moving, or two, they're just not selling what is
They're
there.
just not selling what is there.
Yeah. And you'll have problems like, oh, the sales team is saying my stuff is too expensive. But it's your fault you're not trained your sales team to sell to the right customer.
So basically, each and every one of these red flags, they're like mini red flags under it. Like basically, this is the visible symptoms, the ones you can see. But then under those, they're like a lot went wrong before now you get to a point where you have stock is not moving.
Yeah.
There are many things that went wrong for you to get to that point that stock is not moving.
Yeah.
You ought to have been monitoring your stock movement from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And not looking at your stock report to replenish, because there is more to a stock report. There is a lot of information you can get from a stock movement report.
Exactly.
But most people, the ones who look at a stock report, because most don't, the ones who do, are looking to replenish, not to draw information from it.
Because from a stock movement report, you should be able to determine things like, if a product is slow moving, but I still need to stock it because it's a bundled product. So for example, if you sell hardware, so you will stock cement so that people come and buy other things. You understand?
Yes.
So there are products that will be stocked because they're mostly bought with other things.
Yes.
But they could be slow moving products.
Or low margin.
Or low margin. So what you would need to do is determine the price you will need to sell it at for it to become profitable because of the length of the sales life cycle for it.
Yeah, it's
Because
holding
it's
your
holding
money.
your money for longer.
Yes, it's holding your
So
money.
remember, sometimes you will take debt to buy stock. Sometimes, which is the wrong thing, but sometimes you will take debt.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not taking debt, there is inflation. There's cost to money and time. The longer someone stays with your money, the more it is costing you.
The more it's costing you.
Because there's inflation happening between now and then.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes. Time
From the
value of
point you
money.
bought that product, it is now more expensive because of inflation.
Because of inflation.
And worse so if you took a loan to buy, because there's the cost of the debt.
Would you advise a business take a loan to replenish stock?
No.
I don't think so.
It's a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea. I might consider getting a loan to get product to serve a client. Like it's an already existing client, meaning I have an opportunity there to turn it around quickly.
Yeah.
Hopefully if they pay us on time.
Yeah.
But if they don't, then you're royally screwed.
But you see, if what you should take debt for, if you must, is for expansion. Expansion meaning you are now investing in marketing. And even people who fund, you've seen, they will want to know where are you putting the money. Because if it is for working capital,
operations,
it will be swallowed up.
For sales, marketing is moving sales, right?
Yeah.
Is increasing sales.
So
Ideally, that's the plan.
Yeah, so it will increase the sales. So that will shift it.
Yes.
Or if you're introducing a new product.
A new product.
For a business that is already selling.
Thriving. Wow. Interesting. I had a question. Now it has.
Maybe I can give you my final red flag.
Oh, yes.
This is for those people flying blind. You know those people who just,
Yes.
You're flying blind, you're just waking up, showing up to your business. If your competitors are closing one by one, take a hard look. Don't celebrate it. Ask yourself why.
Why? I've never thought of it like that. I guess you always assume they've done something.
Yes, if it's one,
if
one or two,
maybe 3, 4, 5.
Your alarm bell should be like this, ding dong,
Yes.
because you need to find out why they're closing. There has to be something you don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's something you don't know.
There's something you don't know.
Yeah. You're right. The one I've just remembered, and this is a red flag that is tied to the entrepreneur themselves. Because, we've looked at all the other external factors, but we are sometimes the red flag. And there are entrepreneurs who are they don't settle long enough into a certain business idea to move it from idea to launch to growing to scaling long enough for it to even, before they jump onto another one.
Yeah.
I think that's a red flag. And I think there are people who say, as an entrepreneur, you should have 7 income streams. Tell me what you think about this.
I think the best analogy I like giving is, one, you don't pop out babies in months. You give birth to one baby. Before you're healed, you have another one coming. Before you're healed, you have another one coming.
Yes.
You understand? Whether we like it or not, parents of many children have struggled with parenting. Whether we want to admit it and
at
admit
some
it
point,
to our
the
own
children
parents.
parent themselves.
At some point, those children parent themselves.
Yes.
With every business that you open, one feeds another.
One feeds another.
because you as an entrepreneur don't have time because you're one. So, and I'm not talking about this people. I know when you look at the internet, they tell you, oh, I have 80 businesses. They're not the ones running.
Yeah.
They have invested in.
Yeah.
They're shareholders.
They're shareholders.
They are not interested. It's like you having an MMF. If you're an MMF, you have invested in many businesses. Some of them you don't even know.
I can say I've invested in multiple businesses.
Because they're managed by other people.
They're managed by other people.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's not the
The
same
day-to-day
thing.
is not my problem.
The day-to-day is not your problem. You understand? If you've invested in a business, it has its own CEO, that's fine.
Yeah.
But not when you're the CEO of 5 companies. No. You're the CEO, you're the production manager, you're the sales manager, marketing manager, accountant for all those businesses.
And then times 2.
And then
or times
what
3.
are we doing here?
What's usually the challenge there? Why do you think entrepreneurs get themselves in that situation? Like I'm trying to think about it because it's already, handling one is hard enough. So
even just
explain to me why someone would then add another and another on top of that.
Putting together a business that runs on its own is so much work.
Without you.
The one that you can walk away from and it's running.
It's running.
So much work. The only reason I would think, let me start another one, is if I'm running from this one.
You're running away from this one.
This one is not giving me the output I want. So let me start another one. This one, maybe it will be profitable. This one is not giving me the money I should be getting. Let me start one that maybe will make me more money.
Yeah. I watched this video by Alex Hamosi. I like listening to him. I don't know if you listen to him. And he was talking about the journey of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You start very optimistic. I've seen Lucy do it. Lucy has been making a lot of money running this business coaching. I think I can do it, and So I start. And at the point when I start, it's looking, I think it's easy. It's just coaching.
Yeah.
It's easy. How
Just
difficult?
sit there and talk to
How
someone.
difficult can it be?
It cannot.
It cannot be difficult. So I start.
Yeah.
Then when I start, I realize, oh shit, there's some things I didn't think about, and this is harder
Than I thought
it would be. And so you start to struggle. And at that point now, obviously, you know the learning curve, right? You start by going down first, and then you get up, you get up, and then you stabilize. You get up, find ground zero, then now start growing from ground zero. And so now you're at the point when you're now in the valley of despair. You're starting to think, hey, this thing, I underestimated the amount of effort, money, time it was gonna require me to get to ground zero.
Yeah.
So you try your best. By the time you're approaching, you're not at ground zero yet, so that then you can start the growth.
Yeah.
You sort of go I don't think so.
Yeah.
So you pick another one.
Yeah.
And the cycle continues. You get almost to ground zero or just above, because it's still a climb. Even after ground zero, it's still a climb.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And every time you keep going back to the beginning, and the whole cycle starts. Because it doesn't matter how many times you do this, for as long as it's a new business, it's the same learning curve. And you can spend 20, 30 years
doing that,
getting to this point and then starting.
And imagine what that does to you as a human being.
It wears you out. It wears you out emotionally, especially emotionally.
Yeah.
Because you start to go like,
then there's nothing that works.
I am not who I thought I was. I thought I could do this. I can't.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be my...
It's counterproductive you have to nurture it for it to grow, for it to give you fruit. The thing I like telling my clients, or even anyone I talk to who's running a business, is you really do need to take care of your mental and emotional health. Because when you're down, and I've not only seen this, I've gone through it myself. When you're depressed and you're not able to wake up and go to work, and you're not able to run or manage your team, and you're not able to, you just there's once we lost a huge account because I was sick from depression. I was like actually sick. I couldn't even leave the bed. Not from the depression itself, but because my body reacted to it, and I had issues that I couldn't leave. And the client called for one meeting that I couldn't go for, so a team member had to go. And because unbeknownst to me, they were already planning to leave. So they mishandled the meeting. And the client was actually asking to give us more work. And they said, we can't handle it. Because she thought it would come to her. That one. So she was like, no, we can't handle it. Because they're not thinking about the business. So if you're not able to take care of your mental health or your emotional health, and if you're not surrounding yourself with support and being around people who will support you,
you will struggle.
You will struggle. For example, if you're in a bad marriage, business will become that much harder.
Very true. Oh, there's nothing worse. I can't imagine. I've not experienced it, but my gosh, bless my husband, because he's always supportive. I can't imagine the stress that comes with building a business. Then you are stressed at home.
So you need to
Nightmare.
start
It's a nightmare.
self-preservation. And you say, okay, listen, I have to take care of me. And I'll take care of me first so that I can take. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to take care of yourself before you take care of others, if you're going to run a business. Because it is the hardest thing you will ever do, save for raising a child.
I agree. And I'm doing both. I agree. I do agree. It is, but in as much as it's hard, it's so fulfilling.
It really is. When you do succeed,
it's fulfilling.
It's very fulfilling. And especially, like, for me, seeing my clients thrive is the most fulfilling thing I have ever experienced. Seeing someone who started from zero and now they're making money, they're paying bills, they're going for trips, they're paying for medical, like you see someone else, it's very
fulfilling. The level of, it's like up there. And I could actually almost compare it to motherhood.
It really, it's a sacrifice, but when you see that child grow,
the joy and also the tears and all the effort you have to put into that child, it's actually it comes very close to motherhood. Wow. I think maybe I would wrap up, especially that thing of hopping from one business idea to another. I would encourage patience, because I feel like those people who do that are looking for instant gratification. They're looking for a quick win. They're looking for a quick buck. And if there's something I have learned, quick buck does not exist. Making money quick.
You need to shout at the top of the mountain.
Making money quick
does not
exist. And if someone has told you about this idea that you get, that idea is the one that's going to bury you. Run.
Someone tells you just invest $1 million here.
6 months.
6 months, you'll be a billionaire. Triple it. There's
Run.
nothing like that.
Run.
Because business requires back-breaking work.
Back-breaking.
Whether it's you doing it or somebody else, it is back-breaking work.
Back-breaking.
And how I know, and I think maybe even another thing we really need to demystify is that you will get to a point that it becomes easy.
Yes.
That, I'm going to work for 3 years. Then after that, I'll just be playing golf. Let me tell you, those ones who are playing golf, they're playing golf to make business.
They've already done their back-breaking work.
They've done their back-breaking work, but they're going there to look for more.
But you see now all these processes and things that you're struggling with, they're no longer struggling with that. So their foundation is already laid, and therefore they are sort of like, they're scaling. Although scaling comes with its own challenges.
Let me tell you something, because I have sat
I'm a
with,
backbreaking
with
constant.
CEOs who play golf, and their quality of life is poor. Let me just say that. And you'll have to find your own, and I'm not saying this will apply to everybody, but you'll have to find your own way of living as an entrepreneur. Because I know people who will take their families for holidays, wherever, Maldives,
Yeah.
but they're on their computer throughout
the
monitoring
holiday.
sales, monitoring this.
Yeah.
There's theft happening here, etc. So yes, the work will change, because it will be more of an oversight
Different
role,
levels, different.
but it will have a
levels.
different level of stress.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
Because you are responsible for 1 or 3 people now. There you are responsible for 1,000 employees.
1,000 different levels.
You understand? So your fall could be harder. So you're always worried about your fall
Constantly.